Okay, hello everybody. Mariano here again. So recently, me and my friends have been, we're playing video games. We're on the mic. We're just kind of shit talking each other. We've been kind of doing this. Recently, we had this argument about who our top 10 NBA players of all time were, and we're doing like little lists and talking about it. And so that kind of sparked the idea of what I wanted to do here today, and it's just make a tier list of the top 50 NBA players from the 21-22 season, kind of rank them, go through the top 5, 6 through 10, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here today. I think for me, the top 10 is pretty solidified for the most part. Um, I can see you kind of arguing a few spots here and there and interchanging them. But for the most part, I think that these top 10 should be everyone's top 10s um, for this past season or just right now in general. And this list is going to be barring any injuries, so assuming they're completely healthy with no issues and no bullshit. Um, that's what this list is going to be. And I feel like I'm going to try and rank basically the top 20. Anything beyond that's going to be really hard because there's a lot of guys that if they're on the same tier, I could see anyone arguing, okay, this guy over this guy, etc., which I don't have an issue with. I'm not necessarily controversial. I have my own opinions. Everyone has their own opinions, and I think that some players are more valuable than others. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing here today. So for my top 5, I think that's the easiest part of this. I think Giannis is the best player in the league right now, followed by Kevin Durant, LeBron, where's he at? Steph, and that leaves one last spot, and that last spot is going to go to, where is he? Jokic. Yep, and I think this is the best way to rank them. I think Giannis is the best player on the court on both sides of the ball every single night, and he can pass a little bit. Like with Giannis a complete package. He can't shoot, and he can't shoot consistently. That's his biggest downfall. But at the same time, it's like, what more can you ask of him to do? And he brings you wins. He's already got a championship. I think he's gonna end up being probably the best, second best power forward of all time behind Tim Duncan. I just think like what Tim Duncan has done. I know Giannis has a lot of time, but what Tim Duncan has done and established for himself is crazy for the power forward position, right? So I think he's gonna be the best power forward or the second best power forward of all time. KD, one of the most unguardable players of all time, if not the most unguardable player of all time. He's just a bucket, man, and you have to play. Like, you have to make a game plan around him when you're facing him. And it's just, he is who he is. LeBron, best player of all time in my opinion, can do everything correctly. It is what it is, right? He's still a top 5 player in the league in my opinion. While his team didn't have as much success as he normally has seen in the past, it isn't entirely his fault. It's just the way that team is structured is beyond me. It doesn't make sense. The spacing's awful. You got a lot of guys who don't like to get back on defense, who don't have that hustle factor. There's just so many things wrong with that team. I think that they should reconstruct it for the most part, get some good pieces that make sense instead of big names. I think better fit as opposed to big name is what's going to be better for this team in the long run. I know that they're kind of committed, like Darvin Ham, their new head coach, is committed to Russell Westbrook, and they're backing him up, but at the same time, it's just, maybe there just wasn't a lot of acclamation this first year. We'll have to see. I'm not counting him out. I know there's a lot of hate towards him, but it's not entirely his fault. It's the fault of the team, right? Steph Curry is still doing it at his age, just won a championship, best player on that team, finally got his first Finals MVP. Only what more can you say? And Jokic, I think he is the MVP of the league, statistically. He is the best regular season player as of the last 2 years. But he's not my number 1. He's number 5 for the specific reason that he's kind of suspect on defense a lot. But what he brings on the offensive side of the ball is ridiculous. And I think that it warrants him a top 5 spot. Barring if his team was healthy, I think they could have made a better run into the playoffs. He did get first rounded, but seeing how his 2 best players, but after him, were injured, it's kind of tough to make that call, Moving on to 6 through 10, I think AD, again, no injuries involved. I think AD deserves a spot here. I think Joel Embiid deserves a spot here. Luka definitely deserves a spot here. Man. Paul George, in my opinion, deserves a spot here. And that leaves one more spot. And I think that one more spot, Kawhi. What am I talking about? Okay, so barring injury, I think Kawhi is up here. I like Joel Embiid. As of what he showed me last year, I like Joel Embiid here, Kawhi, Luka, Anthony Davis, and Paul George. I just think that this is my top 10. I could go on about each player. There's a lot to say, but it's just look at this top 10. I mean, this is a talented top 10. I don't think for myself you can make an argument. I can see where people boot out Paul George, but I think that he has proven himself to be a great player both sides of the court. Gets you a bucket, gets you a stop, and just overall a top 10 player in my eyes. Now, 11 through 20 gets a little tricky, but I think you definitely got to put Damian Lillard in there. DeMar DeRozan deserves a spot. Devin Booker deserves a spot. Jimmy Butler deserves a spot for sure for me. Trae Young, in my eyes, deserves a spot up here. Karl Anthony Towns. Jason Tatum for sure. How many does that leave? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. James Harden. 18. Ja. 19. And 20th spot, in my opinion, is going to go to... Man, this is tough. And this might upset some people. Oh, Kyrie, there he is. Okay. Ooh, Chris Paul. Who gets if I move Chris Paul up, who gets booted out? That's the question to me. No one, right? I love Chris Paul. I think his game's phenomenal. But who gets booted out? Man. So I think this is my 11 through 20, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, I think it's my 11 through 20. I think Jason Tatum does top that list. Ooh, do I like? Actually, I'm gonna stick with my gut. Ja Morant's gonna top this list, followed by Jason Tatum. I think what Jason Tatum does on both sides of the court is amazing. You got Jimmy's up here too, though. I think I like it like this. I think as of late, I think this is what it kind of comes out to be. I think this is my solidified top 20. I think all these guys, you can make an argument for being ahead of one another. Again, a lot of these guys are interchangeable, but I think for me, this is my solidified top 20, I think. And seeing how hard it was to rank that top 20, seeing how much talent is in the NBA right now, it's crazy to look at this list and even come up with a certain ranking for each individual player. But I kind of did my best try at it, and I think in my opinion, these are where my top 20 is. Yeah. So let's move on to 21 through 30. I think this is the spots of the BAMs. I know this is a controversial pick, but when healthy and when he's not bullshitting, I think he is a top 21 through 30 players. I don't think that has to go without saying. Or I think that can go without saying. Chris Paul's in there for me. I think Rudy Gobert deserves a spot here. Zion, when healthy, deserves a spot up here. Man, this is tough. Tough. Donovan Mitchell deserves a spot in here. I think Chris Middleton is a top 25 player. I think Bradley Beal's in here. Man, I think Jaylen Brown and Brandon Ingram. Is that my top? Is that my 21 through 30? Yeah, I think so. I think this is my 21 through 30. Oh, I'm bringing Brandon Ingram down and putting Pascal Siakam up here. Yeah, and if I had to rank these, for the most part, I like Chris Paul in here. I like Bradley Beal towards the top. Again, Bradley Beal, I'm a little biased on. I've been watching him since Florida days. That's the college that I follow, that I enjoy. But I think that he's a top 25 player in the league. It's just his team makeup stinks. But I think for me, this isn't necessarily the best ranking 21 through 30, but I think this is the best group of guys for 21 through 30. I think you can make a case for every single one of these guys being in front of the other. But in my opinion, these are the guys that are solidified in the top 30. Now, 31 through 40 gets kind of hard because you got the Brandon Ingrams of the world. You got C.J. McCollum in there, in my opinion. Fred VanVleet's in there. LaMelo's in there. I think Anthony Edwards has to be in there. And you got Zach LaVine. I forgot about Zach LaVine. Man. I think this is where you move Zach LaVine up in the 21 through 30, but who do I bump down? I'm going to say I bump down, and this is me being an A&M guy, I bump down Chris Middleton. I just think while he's can be really good a lot of times, he's also very hot or cold. He's very wishy-washy. And, I personally wouldn't like that a lot. And while he can be a top 20 talent, top 30 talent in the NBA some nights, there's other nights where he doesn't show up. And that inconsistency is really hard for me to get behind. So in this list, you still have people like, wow, this list is tough. I think Drew Holiday deserves a spot up here. Jeremy Grant deserves a spot in here. Yeah, that does not leave. I think RJ Barrett, as of last year, deserves a spot in here. And I'm going to round it. I don't really love Marcus Smart there. I really don't. For me, barring injuries, I think Jamal Murray deserves a spot in there. Lastly, 41 through 50, you got to put Kristaps Porzingis. I think Julius Randle as of late. Marcus Smart deserves a spot in there. This is stuff. De'Aaron Fox. I love how De'Aaron Fox ended out last year. Everyone thought that Tyrese Halliburton leaving was, the wrong decision. But I think De'Aaron Fox, for the most part, shut them up. There's a lot of things that you can't rely on De'Aaron Fox to make a bucket sometimes. Or not make a bucket, but make a shot. And that's really tough. And that's kind of why I do... For me, I think now, as of right now, De'Aaron Fox is the better player, but I think I would have preferred to gone with Tyrese Halliburton. But he did do a great job once Tyrese Halliburton left to shut those, those haters up, essentially, and kind of say, hey, I'm the man. I'm stepping up. I can do it. And I think he showed that in a great way. Who else deserves a spot here? I think Shea. I like Shea up here. Oh, man. I don't care. I'm putting him. What he does for that Warriors team and how he's the glue for that team, he deserves a top 50 spot. That alone is enough for me. I think Miles Turner deserves a spot here. I think John Collins deserves a spot up here. Man. DeAndre Ayton probably earned a spot here. And my last spot, and probably the hardest spot because all these names I really like, I'm going to go ahead and give that last spot to Domantas Sabonis. I think he's a very all-around great player. A little bit suspect on defense sometimes, but he's very well-rounded. He does everything offensively you'd like. He gets you a triple-double if he needs to. It might not equate to so many wins, but I think he's a good player. I think he deserves a top 50 spot. So, yeah, that's my top 50 NBA players as of the 21-22 season, barring any injuries, meaning that they are completely healthy. So, yeah, if you guys enjoyed my list or if you hated it, just leave a like, a comment, subscribe, whatever. Just interact with it, Let me know what you think, and